Hello everybody and welcome back to Kerbal Space Program, where we currently need to get an engineer up to our asteroid mover so that we can lash some of the bits into place. That is our current priority focus. So we need to do that right now. I've not moved any additional tanks onto this yet because I didn't want to get them docked in with all of the tanks wiggling. So we need to get our engineer up there now. So that is our current priority. And this is going to be a fairly small and cheap rocket. All we really need is a Mark 1 command pod here. And we're going to have, let's see, this will be Kerbals that is in this. That'll be fine. And then we're going to make this so that it has a grab arm, I think. We're not going to dock it up. I think we're just going to grab. So we're going to go into coupling, and we're going to use an advanced grabbing unit here. Actually, maybe like a junior advanced grabbing unit. There we go. Now we're going to have to bring this back when we're done with it, of course. So we're going to need to have some drogue chutes on here. And that would be like these guys. Let's get rid of that. Thanks. And then we will have a couple of drogue chutes like this, and then our main chutes. I just want to make sure this is the hatch, right? So I want to make sure that we're not blocking that hatch. Something kind of like that. We definitely need to be able to EVA. So we're then going to put a couple of radio mount parachutes on here. This is definitely overkill for what we're going to be bringing back on the parachute front, but that's fine. Then we're going to have a small heat shield here. This command pod does need one, so that's fine. And then we're going to have a decoupler here. It's just going to be a very, very basic craft. So we're going to have a TD-12, and then we're going to go with, let's see, it's been a long time. We're going to be going with something like a T-400 and a poodle to push that. No, not even a poodle. It would be a terrier. There we go. We don't need our center of thrust. Okay. And then we would put on another decoupler. So this would be another TD-12. And then we would have a pair of probably not these guys. That would be a little overkill. No, we're going to have not even these guys. No, it is these guys. Okay, we're going to have two of those. All we need to do is be able to get into the orbit that we're going for, right? So that'll be fine. And then we're probably going to lift this with a good old-fashioned swivel. It's been a long time since we've had anything this quaint. Do we need to heavy lift it, though? That's the question. And the answer is, yeah, a little bit. We would need a little more delta V to make this happen, a little more thrust to weight as well. So I think all we're going to do is strap on some SRBs. And those will not need to be Clydesdales, I can tell you that. Maybe more like, even kickbacks look awful big. Thoroughbreds? No. Shrimps? No. Thumpers. This is what we want. Okay, so we'll put some thumpers on here, and we'll bring those down a bit, and then we will grab this, bring that down a little bit. There we go. And then we'd put in our standard aerodynamic nose cones. We don't need the small ones. We would need ones like this. There we go. And then we would strut that together a bit. Something like so. And honestly, that's probably the only strut we need. We can then put in some aerodynamics if we think we need it. It's probably not strictly necessary for this thing, but let's look at our center of mass. Yeah, okay. And then we would, tail fins, I think our standard tail fins would, I think, be pretty overkill for this. We may just want Delta Deluxe winglets. Center of mass and aerodynamic. There we go. So we would need these, no, not like that. Something like, oh, that would have to be awfully low. Okay, so maybe not Delta Deluxe winglets. That may not be the correct thing. I do think the tail fins would still be wildly overkill. That's these guys. Maybe we should actually put them on the SRBs. We can get them a little bit lower that way. I mean, that's definitely not the way I wanted that to go. Yeah, I'm thinking maybe we don't even need them. We'll call this the engineer mover. There we go. Perfect. We can always, this is a super cheap flight. We can always abort this flight if we have issues with it, right? So, I mean, all we'd have to do for that is just detach these guys, let them fly up, detach all of this, and well, pop the parachutes. We may even be able to propulsively land it in that case. Depending on how things are going in terms of our tumble, I suppose. Because in that scenario, we're definitely going to be tumbling. I'm not sure how this is going to go. I think we'll be okay without having any fins on there. I don't think we're going to be doing any backflips or somersaults or anything. But if we do, we'll address that. This is not a simulated flight, for the record. So no reversions are allowed here. So we'll see how this goes. What is our thruster weight here? 1.68. So we don't actually have to fire this engine at the same time. Okay. Double checking our staging here is always, very important. So we'll just make sure that's all good to go. And we have no SAS aboard. Oh, right. Well, we haven't launched this yet, so let's just pull it back into the VAB. I intended to put on a... where are we? I intended to put on a remote guidance unit. There we go. And that would be right here above the heat shield. Not that size. Not that size either. That size. Okay. Now, we don't have any power generation on this thing either. Power generation or storage is likely going to be useful. So we're going to just put in a very small rechargeable battery bank. There we go. And then we would put in probably just like a couple of teeny tiny solar panels. Honestly, they probably don't even need to be folding. Just like a couple like this would do the trick. Okay. Let's try this now. We still might have some aerodynamic issues. We might have some heating issues as we ascend through the atmosphere. We'll see. We don't want to go too shallow, that's for sure. Too shallow is definitely out. That's not going to... SAS on, throttle up, and off we go. Just SRB's lifting us at the moment. So I'm going to start heading over at about now. That is very strong gimbaling. Okay. Let's just lock it prograde for the time being. And we're going to try to keep it relatively horizontal. Okay. Oh, right. I need to adjust these. There we go. So our SRBs are going to be burning off soon. They get us our initial speed here. That's all well and good. 2, 1, 0. Okay. There we go. Boy, I'm not used to how pathetic a swivel looks. That's for sure. But it all looks okay. I mean, I would like to be getting quite a bit more horizontal speed at this point. So we're going to try that, hopefully without entering a tumble. I don't want to go too aggressive without any tail fins. We do have gimbaling on this engine, but I don't want to be too aggressive about this. But I do want to head over towards that horizon. At this point, we're at 45 degrees, and I think that we should get a lot more aggressive towards horizontal speed now. Things are feeling pretty good aerodynamically. Yes. Yeah, that's definitely feeling good aerodynamically. So we're going to set pure horizon at this point, and we're going to target an apoapsis height of about 100 kilometers. So that'll do just fine, in theory. We're currently having our time to apoapsis decrease a little bit here. That should change soon. So this should be just fine. And we have plenty of delta V to make all this happen. I'm not concerned about that. Yeah, time to apoapsis is now increasing, so that's perfect. We've got about 30 seconds left to burn on our swivel. And we will be ditching that reasonably soon. We are not in out of atmosphere yet in our apoapsis height, which I don't love. But we're doing just fine on delta V. I'm not that concerned about it. We're going to be hitting orbit quite soon here. Okay, there we're out of apoapsis. That's great. or out of atmosphere, rather. I'm going to continue pushing it up to 100. There we go. Just a small amount of push there. And then we will burn fully in orbit, like so. And I'm assuming this is a ComSat. Yes. I don't think I forgot to save. The Large Asteroid Mover Core should still have its tank attached to it. Okay. So obviously we're just going to be using our grabbing unit, and therefore we are not going to need to dock up. We just need to choose a position that is not particularly bad, is the term I'm going to use. Not particularly in the way, I guess I should say. So position here, our reaction wheel is incredibly strong. We're not out of the atmosphere just yet, so I'm not going to warp until we are out of the atmosphere, but that 2 kilometers to go on that front. And Kerbal is just going to go up here and intercept and lash on that tank. And that way we'll be able to get all of the tanks put on without having huge amounts of jiggle, which is not necessarily great when you're trying to construct a ship like that. Okay, we've got about a minute until this burn. We'll just go ahead and warp towards that a bit. 10 seconds. Okay, the burn is now. Cool. Teeny tiny amount of delta V to get us into orbit. This is probably, yeah, this is definitely good enough. So we will go ahead and set the Large Asteroid Mover Core as our target, and then we can see we are 1.4 degrees off. So we're going to head over to the ascending node here, and we will add a maneuver here. This needs to be anti-normal. That'll do. And we'll prepare for that. That's 55.6 meters per second. A little more than I thought it would be, but that's fine. We have so much. We have more than enough. Okay. So we will warp forward a little further here. 40 more seconds. 30, 20, 10. Okay. And let's go ahead and burn this momentarily. I also want to check. We should be full on electric charge. Yeah, we're fine. Okay. So we need to flip around to normal here, because we overshot slightly. That should do. Yep, that'll do just fine. Now we need to find ourselves an encounter. What would this look like? Well, that's exactly the opposite side of the planet. So that timing is clearly off. We're definitely going to have to wait a few orbits. I want to get back in here. Okay, that gets us quite close. So that's a separation of like 111 kilometers. Yeah, this timing is looking much, much better. I see 2.1 kilometers as the closest there. Okay. So let's then fine-tune this a little bit with our node here. That's about 2 kilometers. That's probably close enough. We'll go ahead and align for that. That's only 37.5 meters per second. This is wildly overkill. We knew that would be the case. We're going to warp around to that. That'll be about a 2-hour warp. We will have to take several orbits here, so that's going to be happening a bit. I'm going to try to, we kind of can't not look at that, it seems. Maybe if I had gone into the map mode. That might have been for the best. Well, we're going to go ahead and warp a little bit further here. 40 seconds, 30, 20, 10. And we're going to burn this momentarily. Let's get that interaction. 3, 2, 1, burn. Overshot it again. We'll just correct that. This engine's a little overpowerful for this, in all honesty. I'm going to limit it down to 5% thrust at this point. Okay, there we go. 1/20th of the strength. So this is 2 kilometers separating, and actually 2.1. I think we'll call that good for now. And we're going to warp to about here. We're going to have to switch into target retrograde. We are not going to have any problems, of course, with it with it turning not in time like we have previously. Words are very difficult all of a sudden. Okay. So we're facing target retrograde right now. And how close are we at this point to the intercept? We are incredibly close. Okay. Let's kill that relative speed and... Ah, there it is. 2.1 kilometers away. It is loaded. Okay. We're going to turn our thrust limiter back up and back down. Okay. This will do for now. Close enough. We're going to burn towards target a bit. And let's see how that ends up going. Okay. Let's bring it on in. Okay. Gonna have to cut down on the throttle here for sure. Looks good. Okay. That's probably reasonably fine for the moment. We're going to need to warp for a bit here, and of course we'll want to flip around to target retrograde. We'll warp for a bit here and see how close we get. I'm definitely not expecting to impact on this trajectory, but this should be fine. Okay. We're starting to get further away now, so let's go ahead and kill that relative speed. Okay, and then burn at the target a bit. We'll go in at about 10 meters per second, I think, this time. 8, 9, and 10. Okay. Yeah, that should do. Once again, I'm not necessarily expecting this to be an impact course. This is just to get closer and make it easier to be relatively motionless. Okay. Let's go ahead and flip it. Looks good. And we can see the tank is on the other side there. That's fine. Okay, so the question then becomes, where do we want to attach this thing? That's going to be complicated, I think. We're just going to bring this to a halt. 3 meters per second. 2, 1, and there we go. So let's just go on in for the moment at about 1 meter per second right now. And get a little bit closer here. I'm not 100% sure where I want to attach this thing yet. Actually, I'm going to do 1.1 here because that allows us to target retrograde. Okay. So let's warp on in here. We should probably arm the advanced grabbing unit soon. We could just grab onto the engine plate. That is a potential option. That is a place that it shouldn't be particularly problematic to be at. Unlike some of these others, potentially. I think that's not a terrible concept. So we're going to head over to retrograde. We'll have to manually position there because we're going too slowly, but that's fine. Okay, definitely something back in this section. I think we will continue to warp in over this way. And do something kind of like this. Okay. Let's go ahead and kill that relative velocity. There we go. We'll need to arm our grabbing unit. And we just want to attack, or rather attach, somewhere over here. About like this. We'll go in at about half a meter per second. And let's see how that goes. Just way back here where hopefully we won't interact with any of this. There we go. We grabbed. Perfect. It doesn't have to be aligned exactly correctly. So at this point, we want Kerbals to EVA, and we will let go and have Kerbals come on over this way, because we want to get all of these guys moved a bit. Okay. So we're just going to sit here, and we're going to lash this up like so. They don't have to be exactly at the same position that they are right now. We just want to get all of these attached. We can see that there's a bit of a shimmy that's picked up. This is not ideal necessarily. We'll just get that moved in something like this. Okay. There. That should keep things a little bit more stable. Although, one thing we might want to do is take, like, this one and connect it from here over to here, like that. That might not be a terrible concept. We come over here. Nope, that's the wrong way. Okay, we come over here and connect, like, half of them back this way. Actually, there's already this strut here, so we can do that. And then this one up top. That one doesn't want to connect there. It connects there, though. And then go to the bottom here. And there's a strut there, too. Cool. Like that. That should be much more stable. Fantastic. Perhaps a little too stable, but we'll need to do that for all of the tanks that we'll bring up. Now, like I said, I'm not going to make you sit here and watch me bring up every single one of those tanks. That would be very tedious, shall we say. We need to bring 7 more in. We'll just pop back in periodically, and I will give you guys updates on that. But that'll be something, I think, for the next episode. I want to get all 7 of these done, ideally, in the next episode. So that's going to be interesting. You can leave your offerings to the engagement gods in the form of likes, comments, subscribes, and bell ringings, and a very special thank you to all of the channel members for making this video possible, including, I'm scrolled down on the notepad, excellent, Casserole, Sigma162, JJ Gamer, Spartan News, Nick Smarty, Video Games Are Not Real, Dimitri H, Punching the Microphone, and everybody else. And of course, you. Thank you for watching. If you'd like to support the channel, you can click the join button down below the video, and as always, I will see you all next time.